Well, hello again, all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. John and Ellie of Georgia Beer Reviews back at you again with another edition of Stout Sunday. And joining me this morning, the illustrious panel we have today. We have Michael Kormaroff from Brooklyn, New York.
Morning.
And we have Robert, the Whiskey Scout from Kansas. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thank you for having me.
Always great to be here.
Absolutely. And we will start with Michael. What are you drinking this morning?
This is from Hampton, New Hampshire, and it's called Smutty Nose Wood Chop Chocolate Stout. It's at 6.5 alcohol and 30 IBUs. Smutty Nose is a company not too far from where our pal Bumpy lives, and in Hampton, near Portsmouth, which is the port city in New Hampshire. And they brew a lot of beers, and they're usually comparable to, New Hampshire brands and other national brands. And they have also something called Smut Labs, where they do, some limited things that are a little bit different. But I've had several of their beers with.
Yeah, I knew that sounded familiar. I actually tried one of the Smut Labs beers. Bumpy sent me one in the beer mail package that I got from him last. It was one of the pale stouts, a Neapolitan pale stout that he sent me.
That's like they're like a subsidiary where they take, brew some different stuff. But
like their experimental,
experimental division kind of thing, and regular Smutty. This is a regular entry, and I have this can, which I'm showed. I have another can that I've already poured. So I have my glass already. It's already been poured.
Okay. Cheers to Brandon. Craft Beer Pours in the chat. Says cheers, stout drinkers. Cheers to you, Brandon. Thanks for tuning in. All right. So, Robert, what do you got this morning?
This is Walnut River Brewing Company, El Dorado, Kansas, which is just about 40 minutes north of me up the road. Fairly easy to get. I mean, it's one version of their beer or another's in most of the even the littler, smaller liquor stores around, and it's the El Dorado Coffee Porter, 6.6 ABV. It's no IBUs listed. I don't even know if it's. I'm sure if the good date is in because it's the same batch I sent you, so we'll find out though. But anyway, that's what it is. It's I actually have not tried this, believe it or not.
Okay, and that's one of the ones that you sent me. I tried. I thought it was really good. So,
well, we're going to give it a spin. If I've tried it, I don't remember. I'll put it to you.
So it's possible. It's just you can't recall.
Yeah, it's possible.
All right, and what I've got today, guys, is the Wild Leap Brewing Company. They're out of LaGrange, Georgia. This is their Caramel Cake Stout. It's 10.5% alcohol, no IBUs listed. It does talk. It's a milk stout, so it does have lactose in it. It says layers of rich, creamy caramel and hints of cinnamon and vanilla. So we will see. All right. We've also got the Bearded One in the chat. Cheers to you, Bearded One. Jeremy Vincent's in the chat as well. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get into these stouts here. We'll go back to Michael Kormaroff with his Smutty Nose.
My can date is 11/6/19, which means it is going on a little past its third month. I would say for this type stout, that should be fine.
Yeah, right. And 30 IBUs really isn't that high, so if it's not a lot of hop character that it could lose anyway.
This is what it looks like in the glass. It's a very dark brown color with a small, slim beige head. It's faded a little bit from the pour. It was up to about here, and it's gone down a little bit, but it seems to be holding its state pretty well. Let me give it a smell. Roasted malts, a little bit of smoke. Some of the chocolate from they're saying it's chocolate stout. Smell it. It's kind of getting kind of a dark chocolate kind of smell. Give it a taste.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, the taste follows the nose, and it's kind of the chocolate is the lead taste that you get. You're still getting the roasted malts as well, so it's following very medium bodied, and the different. What happened? Can you still see me?
Yeah,
We can.
you're doing just fine.
Okay, because I don't know if you run this stuff on your computer. I run something called Spybot. It just came on. Okay, that's the problem. I got rid of it. So I'm finding the different flavors that are here, which may be typical to chocolate stouts, the chocolate, the roast, the little bit of smoke, to be pretty consistent and pretty well balanced. And the 6.5 alcohol is almost non-existent. If anything, it tastes more like a session beer. And I think you could drink a lot of this. Goes down pretty easy. I'll have a number for you shortly.
All right. Kyle's in the chat. Cheers to you, Kyle. Jeremy says he didn't have a chance to get a good stout this week. That's all right, Jeremy. There's always next week. And Jeremy also says that Michael's computer is getting hacked by Russian spies. Well, hopefully not.
That's what
We
they
want to
said
keep
last
Michael on here. So. All right. So, Robert, go ahead with your coffee porter there.
Well, excuse me. I got a frog in my throat this morning, so I have to forgive me. Poured with the head. I mean, it was a perfect pour. Poured right to the rim of the glass. It's since died down in the last couple of minutes or so, but it's still maintaining about a half-inch head on top of it. It's a slightly creamy, not real dark, but there is a little, almost a caramel color to it. And the nose, we get the roasted malts. I get the coffee, and I get just a bit of caramel with this one. There's a caramel note to it. But the coffee comes across very well, just as the can says.
That's a nice lacing there on the glass already.
Yes, it is. I haven't even took a sip yet. But that's the main things off the nose. Maybe ever so bit a hint of the hops coming through, but it's not. That's almost maybe ever so slightly. I hesitate to use this word, but floral in a sense. But I did get just a little bit. Nothing like an IPA or nothing like that. You can't make that. It's not that kind of note. Anyway.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, but there's the hops. They balance it out. This is, and as far as see-through ability, you can't see through it. Maybe right here in the very bottom of the glass. The coffee is good. The coffee's not overly dominant. I mean, it's there, but it's not like you're drinking a coffee. It's more, and there's, it's drinks like the nose on this one. There's not much of a difference. I mean, I'm still getting a little bit of the caramel. The hops move a little bit more forward in it, but they're very balanced with the caramel and the coffee. And the roasted malts are just, as a porter or a stout should be, they're there. In this case, it's not a very overriding flavor, but they're there and they're working kind of in unison. The only thing that I would say is holding this back is probably a little lack of ABV and a certain, and I don't like to use this term, but I've got to, but it's almost slightly watery on the mouthfeel. It's not very mouth coating. It's not very, there's almost a little watery feel to it. But for having the watery feel and still being as dark as it is pretty impressive. So I think anyway, but I like it. I mean, it is very drinkable. I mean, there is no problems drinking this. I enjoy this. And I think I have had it before, John. Now the memory's coming back.
The memory's coming back. Okay. I thought you drank it on like a Wild Card Wednesday or like one of the hangouts we were talking about it, I thought, not too long ago.
I think I
But
did, but you get to drinking a lot of things. Sometimes you forget.
it's hard to keep up, yeah. That's why I was trying to remember if I had this one on a Stout Sunday or Wild Card Wednesday, because this was the last one in the 4-pack, so I know I drank it somewhere, but I don't think I did it on Stout Sunday. Which I guess that's a good segue into me here. I got to talk about mine a little bit. This is Wild Leap Caramel Cake Stout out of LaGrange, Georgia, 10.5%. And it did pour black. Very viscous, very thick on the pour. Had about a finger and a half, like a almost beige head, dark khaki beige head. The aroma with this, malty, very sweet. Getting caramel, obviously. A little bit of cinnamon, some vanilla. A little bit of the roast from the malt as well, like the roasty malt character, some toasted bread notes. But this is, if you're not into malt forward beers, you're probably going to be turned off by this because it is definitely very malty on the aroma. The 10.5% alcohol, though, is masked exceptionally well. I'm not picking up on any boozy qualities with this on the nose. So I'm ready to dive in. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's even sweeter. I mean, like, you think it's going to be sweet just from the aroma, and then as soon as you take that first sip, it's like a caramel explosion in your mouth. A lot of caramel sweetness, a lot of roastiness as well, a lot of like dark toasted bread notes, almost a slight coffee note from the roast as well. There's no coffee added to this, but I am picking up on some coffee notes from the dark roast. Which kind of balances it out a little bit, but this is still such a sweet stout. They do have lactose to it as well, so you're getting some sweetness from the lactose, as well as a creamy mouthfeel, which is really nice with this. It definitely has a creamy mouthfeel, very velvety smooth all the way through. The finish is very smooth as well. A little bit of bitterness coming through on the finish from the roast, but it still has that lingering caramel sweetness that you get right from the initial taste all the way through the entire sip. So very sweet, like I've said. And the cinnamon kind of lingers a little bit as well. There is some cinnamon on the finish.
Is the alcohol masked?
The alcohol's masked exceptionally well. It's not warming going down. It's not, I mean, it's not boozy in the taste at all. You could really get carried away with this because it just tastes like a dessert in a glass. This is a perfect dessert beer. Very sweet, very malty, very, very rich. The mouthfeel is really on the heavy side. It's very thick. When I poured it, it was kind of like, you know, oil, pouring motor oil in a glass. It's very enjoyable. I'm really liking it. But this is, beware if you're not into super sweet malt forward beers. This one is going to be no good for you because it's definitely a sweet dessert beer. So I'll keep sipping on it and come back around here in a little bit with a rating. Let's go back to the chat really quick. Craig Swinson's in the chat. Cheers to you, Craig. He's working his way through the Guinness Mixed 12-pack. I have not seen the Guinness Variety Pack. Have you guys seen that?
I have not. I wonder if it's out of their New Baltimore brewery, which I know.
And I'm guessing probably that new 12-pack has the Over the Moon Stout, which I have still not seen here in Georgia. Their new milk stout.
Here either.
The bearded one says he doesn't like thin coffee and stout beer either, just an underwhelming sensation. Okay. I think he's referring to the beer you have, Michael, like maybe not enough body to support the flavors. Although I thought that the one that Robert has is pretty balanced and had enough going for it. It wasn't, I mean, it was light-bodied for a porter, but 6.6% alcohol is no joke either. That's getting up there. That's a respectable ABV for a porter. And then Jamie's in the chat, says, cheers, y'all. Cheers to you, Jamie. All right, we are caught up on the chat. Let's see. I guess we'll go ahead. We're making great time here, so if anybody has any little anecdotes or stories to tell, go ahead.
I have a little aside, but this, we're getting some comments about the lightness of Roberts in mine, maybe because it's only 6.5 and 6.6. But they're not like baby beers; they're just normal. They're normal stouts. They're not, And again, my aside is after, and we were discussing this before, John. After you've had some of these monsters, Bourbon County and KBS and CBS in the higher, stout zone where the ABVs are stronger and the beers are more substantial, it still doesn't mean that these smaller ones can't pack some taste. They just don't have. They don't have the substance.
Right.
They're not brewed to have the substance. That's not their intention. It's a lower. It's something which you could sit down and have a couple. I mean, if you're going to have a couple of Bourbon Counties by yourself, you're going to be laying down. I mean, I don't see any way around it.
It's time for a nap.
Even one usually will take its toll on you. But you have a couple, and it's going to, because it's so high alcohol. It's at least 15, the full stout, 15.2, 15.7, depending on which one you get. There were 2 different ones in 2019. So I know neither one of them was available for John to get, but you did at least get the one, which was which was 30. But still, that's still substantial. That's double the ABV of what we're drinking.
Right. And it's interesting, you're talking about the alcohol and this, the porters and stouts and whatever. We live in a world now, or at least here in America, where we're so used to these super high alcohol, imperialized, barrel aged. So it's almost like a 6.5%. It's like, whatever. It's nothing. And then you got people over in the UK and these other countries, and it's like anything over 5%, they get taxed very heavily on, and they don't see these 6+% beers very often. So they're probably watching us right now like, these guys, I can't, talking about a 6.5%er like it's nothing. But it's just funny how it is in different parts of the world, and
but
especially in regards to alcohol, fast food alcohol, and politics.
We are a product of our environment, though. We have it available. We have, if I had tried this before ever trying KBS's or any of the high ABV or any of those kind of heavy duty porter or stouts, I would probably have a different perception of it. There's no doubt my perception will be different. But once you cross into that realm or that threshold, it's hard to go back. And so when you get a 6.6 that comes across like this as a little bit watery, does not mean it's a bad beer at all. And it's not a bad beer at all. But it's trying, you're inevitably, your mind is going to jump to the comparison. How does it compare to everything that I've had in the future versus now? And, and when I say I want more mouthfeel, when I say it's a little watery, that's just my perception, but that also impacts my score.
Right. And we'll mind too. You look at, like a European beer, like all the Samuel Smiths, and I think most of them are in the 5% range, which is true session. Now, those are well-manufactured beers, but they don't have the body that these bigger beers we're talking about have.
But see, they can, though. If you go to the Guinness Extra Foreign Stout, which I had on Wednesday night, I think it was on Ron's channel, that carries, and it's only, 7.5%?
I think it's 7.5.
Yeah, but that carries body with it. That carries some weight. It has a heavy substance, and it drinks very well. I mean, when Ron says it's the best of the Guinness line, and I had never had it prior to then, I bought a 4-pack, and I got one left, and I thought about doing it this morning, but I didn't. But then when you line what that is up to what this is, it still falls short of that.
I agree. That's my favorite of the Guinness beers too, and I've had it a couple of times, and I do really like it. It does pack a nice punch. It does have really strong roasty taste and real foundation. So it's a really excellent beer. And for 7.5%, it is a substantial beer.
Yeah. So body can be achieved at this level. We know it can be if Guinness can do it and mass produce it.
Right.
You know.
Hey, and Guinness, just the regular Guinness, 4.2%. I mean, that's as light as it gets with a stout, but it does have some body to it.
Yeah.
For 4.2, it has, more body than a lot of 6-7%ers. It just doesn't have the alcohol.
Right.
I remember as a novice drinker, and because I'm in New York and we get a lot of distribution of all the Guinness stuff, always going to these like Irish bars. And the big thing was when they pour the Guinness, you know how you get the nitrogen effect, the way the thing. So I was, we could drink at 18 when I started, before the age was raised. So I've been drinking since I was 18. We'd go, I was a young drinker, and they'd pour this. And the biggest thing was the pour. I didn't like a taste of a stout then. I still drank it, but it was almost like this pour was so cool. It cascaded up. It was like impressive. And after years of drinking, it was before I could really like stouts. I did try them. I never gave up. I used to have Murphy's, which was another Irish stout that I tried. So I did go through the gamut, but I was certainly not a stout drinker at the beginning. I drank mostly macros, and I've mentioned before, I drank Lowenbrau and Heineken and some other international stuff. But the big thing was the Guinness, was the excitement of this pour. It was like amazing to watch this nitrogen effect. It was wonderful. And since then, I have respect for Guinness as a brewer, because if you think about it, they've been consistent through the years in everything that they brew.
Yep.
Right. So let's go back to the chat
out without saying Guinness.
Yeah, that's true. If it wasn't for Guinness, we probably wouldn't be here right now.
Jeremy had a Goose Island adventure.
Yeah, he did one for Stout Sunday, and then he didn't stop drinking all day. Had a rough one there. Then Craig's talking about Jeremy, one of YouTube's coolest guitarists. That's right. Jeremy Vincent actually does have a channel, and he's a great musician. Puts up videos every now and then. Bearded One's talking about, good point with the, us Americans like to Americanize everything. Lots of hops and big alcohol, lots of hops. That's true.
Where's Drunken One this morning?
I don't know. He might still be asleep. He might have had a late night last night. Who knows?
He sometimes makes an appearance.
Yeah, sometimes. We'll see. It's still early. Craig Swinson talking about the 4 and Extra and Antwerpen are heavy enough for me. The 4 and Extra is my favorite one from Guinness. I have had the Bullet Bourbon barrel aged, and of course the regular and the extra. I've never had the Antwerpen though. I've never seen that one. I've also had the 200th anniversary beer. That one was very similar to the Guinness Extra Stout. I really couldn't taste much of a difference, and the alcohol was the same. So it made me think that it was almost the same beer packaged in 2 different bottles.
I have to keep my eyes up for this multi-pack now of the Guinness stuff, because I will
definitely look for it. I mean, I'm still looking for the Over the Moon Milk Stout. I'd really like to try that, but I haven't seen that one yet either. The Bearded One is talking about the Nitro Guinness. He had a very old one. He does reviews, so I guess he tried to review it, and it was so old that he couldn't upload the video. You have to get another one to try. Yeah, if you get a fresh Guinness, of course, I prefer the Guinness cans with the nitro widget. You can buy it in the bottles without the nitrogen. To me, the effect of the nitrogen, it just adds that creamy mouthfeel. It really almost makes it a completely different beer. I'm not a big fan of the Guinness bottle. I like the can with the nitro widget in there. You got to get that Guinness cascading head effect, and it definitely adds to the creaminess and the mouthfeel as well, in my opinion. So
yes, I agree. The Murphy's has the widget too, if I remember right.
I think the Murphy's does. There's one other one that I think started using, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure I had a Young's double chocolate stout. It's in the purple can.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had one of those recently. I think they have, kind of like with Guinness, they have them with and without. I'm pretty sure Young's has a widget can as well. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they do.
I can't remember if it's that or Boddington's.
Now, Boddington's, yeah, that's an English pub ale. That one's really good with the nitro widget in there. And you can only buy Boddington's in the can, to my knowledge, at least here in the States. I think over in England you can get a bottled version without the nitrogen, but here in the States all we get is the nitro cans, and that is one of my favorite English ales. It's just easy drinking. It's got a lot of body. You want to talk about low ABV, but with a lot of body, the Boddington's pub ale is one of those that would fall into that category for me. And Craig agrees. He says Boddington's is great. I used to drink Boddington's all the time. That was my go-to craft beer when I first kind of started getting into craft beer.
Now, I will say, for my go fishing in the summer on a hot summer day, when I can get it fresh, the Newcastle Brown Ale, put a 12-pack of those bottles in an ice chest. I like Newcastle Brown Ale. I think that's.
I do too. Yeah, a lot of people are kind of upset with Newcastle for because Lagunitas makes it now, and they say it's different and all that. I like the Newcastle or the Heineken version as well. The Lagunitas brewed version. To me, it tastes the same. I think people kind of had that brand loyalty, and the fact that it was brewed over in Great Britain and now it's brewed here in the U.S. and I think it's the same beer. It tasted the same to me.
I still like it. It didn't matter to me too much.
It's
a
good,
hot summer day go fishing beer, and
right.
I mean, it's an expensive beer. You can go fishing with hams or Coors, but if I have my druthers, it's going to be Newcastle.
Right. Okay, so the bearded ones talk about Guinness says his was in a bottle. That explains it. Yeah, the regular bottle does not have the nitro in it, so it's a completely different mouthfeel and flavor. We've also got, well, not flavor, but the mouthfeel really makes Guinness, in my opinion. And beer guy's in the chat as well. He's talking about he wanted to try Boulevard's Brainland, which I have had, and I know Robert.
Yes.
I love the Boulevard Brainland, one of the best barrel-aged stouts in recent memory that I've had. And the KBS Espresso is one that is definitely worth checking out as well. Michael and I actually did an examination of that beer on my channel not too long ago.
Is the Brandyland better than the Boulevard Whiskey Stout?
Just different. In my opinion, they're equally good. They're just different. The whiskey stout is aged in the bourbon barrels, and the Brandyland has that sweet, more malty flavor. And the fact that it's aged in the brandy barrels, it gives it a different barrel presence than obviously.
I've never had the Brandyland. I'd like to try it.
It's good. I've had it, and I should have reviewed it on my channel, but I drank the whole 4-pack, and I need to go buy another one so I can do a proper review. But it's up there. It was like a 97 or 98 to me. It was good.
I didn't score it. I just had the one bottle I bought because my wife's name was Brandy too. But you want to do it on a certain day, let me know. I'll get another bottle. We'll do a review together on that one. I liked it too.
I can get Boulevard stuff. I can ask her if she can get it in my.
See if you can get that one, Michael. It is, as much as you like the whiskey. I almost said the whiskey scout. As much as you like the whiskey stout from Boulevard, you would really like the Brandyland. And we like the whiskey scout as well, of course. That's why we're hanging out with them. Okay, well, I guess we've sidetracked enough here. We'll go back around and give final thoughts and ratings on all of our beers, starting back with Michael Kormeroff and his Smutty Nose.
Okay, so it did say on the bottle that it's an autumn seasonal. So this beer is probably just distributed at the end of the fall, and this one was canned on early November. And it's probably the canning process is probably over. Whatever they sold is out there. Bumpy can probably still get it in New Hampshire if he wants. I don't think Smutty Nose. I was going to say Smutty Land. Smutty Nose does not have national distribution. It's mostly in the Northeast and maybe the Mid-Atlantic states as well. Can you get Smutty Nose in Kansas?
I've never seen it.
John, you've never seen it in Georgia, so I don't think it has.
I've never seen it in Georgia. I was sent some from Bumpy, but that's the only.
So I think it's more. It's a Northeast brand. It's in New York for sure. It might be in New Jersey. In about the 8 states here, the New England states, and here. It's a good company. I used to have a close friend who was the distributor, and he since has gone on to other beer adventures. But they expanded to this brewery in Hampton, and they're obviously still successful because they're still distributing beer. I am going to give this one a 93.
Okay. So just getting into
it's not a top A, but it's an A. And I guess what Robert said is true of mine. If it had a little bit more substance, I could give it a higher grade. It doesn't, but for what it is, it's fine.
Okay. All right. So 1A in the books. Robert, what are you thinking about the Walnut River?
I've already wrote it down on my sheet. I gave it a 92, 1 point less than Michael gave his, and it's kind of following the same suit. I just need a little bit more body, a little bit more oomph as far as the balance. The balance is what really saves this one. The balance is all there. It's works well and harmonious together. It just needs more substance, more oomph, more body, and it would easily score at least 2, 3, 4 points higher.
Okay. All right. So a 92 and a 92 and a 93. For mine, this is an A. It's definitely an A. If it was a little bit more balanced, I'd probably give it an even higher score. But I do like my malt forward stouts. I'm going with a 94 out of 100. It's a pretty solid A. The alcohol is masked well. It's got all the great notes that you would expect from a caramel cake style dessert stout, and that lactose. The fact that it's a milk stout and a dessert beer, the lactose just works really well with the dessert-like flavors, and that creamy mouthfeel really sets it over the top. But drinker beware. If you do not like super sweet, sugary, dessert-like beers, then you need to stay away from this, because that's exactly what this is. It's definitely not very well balanced, but it's still an excellent stout, and I highly recommend it for anybody that likes, dessert-type stouts. And Blake is in the chat now, says, good morning, happy Sunday. Cheers to you, Blake. And Triple J 1872, he bought Smutty Nose in Georgia on closeout before the sale of the brewery. Haven't seen it since. What part, if you don't mind me asking, Triple J, what part of Georgia did you see the Smutty Nose in? Because I have never seen it before. I live close to Atlanta. All right, Michael. And then Jeremy's talking about Boulevard. They do make some great stuff. Yeah, the Jam Band is really good. It's a good sessionable beer. He's going to drink some here in a minute. I don't know, Robert, have you had the Jam Band? It's a sour ale from them.
Yeah. I bought every once in a while, they'll put out a 12-pack with 4 beers of 3 different types, or 3 beers of 4 different types, whatever it is. And it was in one of those packs I bought. And they changed, like, one pack had a bunch of IPAs, Cosmic IPA, and a few others in there. That was in one of the 12 packs they put out about 1.5 years ago. So it's been a while since I've had it, but yes, I have, and it's good. Hey, Boulevard Unfiltered Wheat Beer is probably my favorite sessionable beer out of all beers. I like it. I like if I want to sit down and we're going to have a barbecue or something just to sit down, that's what I get for the patio. Going fishing's a different thing. I like the Newcastle. But out on the patio, that's just you can put a whole, buy 24 or 2 12-packs of that in the bottles, put in the cooler, and let people come and go.
I've never had that one.
I don't think I've had just the regular wheat beer from them either. I'll have to look for that.
Called Unfiltered Wheat Beer by Boulevard, and it's my friend Jeremy came up from Louisiana, and he's a big Shiner Bock or Bud Light man. But when I bought a 6-pack of that, said, "You got to try this," he loved it. It's just a great beer.
I've tried a lot of other Boulevard stuff. I'll have to look for it.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep my eye out for it as well. Real quick, back to the chat. FACP Monitoring had a Boddington on tap in Maine. I have never heard of it or seen it on tap. That'd be really good on draft like that.
Yeah,
if you can find it. And then Triple J's around Gainesville, Georgia. Okay, so that's not really close to me. I've been looking since, a lot of people have been talking about the Smutty Nose and their distributions kind of expanded recently. So I've looked for some of their beers and I haven't been able to find it. The only one, like I said before, that I've ever been able to try was the one that somebody actually sent me. So, but I'll keep looking. Hopefully, maybe it'll show up here one day. And then Jeremy's talking about the unfiltered wheat beer. Says it's really good. Yeah, I'll definitely keep my eye out for it.
It's just a good sessionable beer. I mean, it beats any of the others. Coors, in Budweiser, Hams, whatever. PBR. In my book, it's the better choice. It's local, as per se. I mean, it's 2.5 hours from my house to Kansas City, but in a sense, it's local. It's a Kansas or Kansas, Missouri product. Kansas City product. So
the one he's talking about that he got in Gainesville, Georgia, I think is called Old Brown Dog. That's the brown ale he's talking about, which is pretty famous. My wife likes it. I bought it. They have that at the food co-op, so you can always get that. John, you'd like it. It's a malt-forward brown ale, so it has some hops in it, but it's I think you'd like it. It's low alcohol. Also, I think it's like 5.5 or 5.6, but it's a good beer.
Blake is wrong.
Typically, your brown ales are more sessionable anyway. Except, we do Americanize our brown ales too. There's a lot of imperial brown ales out there now, but for traditional brown ale, you're looking at between like 5 and 6% typically with the ABV. So
right, it seems like those beers, even when they amp them up, are not like the stouts in their total. They don't.
Well, because the brown ale's not supposed to have the roast quality. It doesn't typically have the body that a porter and a stout has. It's more of a light body.
They have more body in their basic formation. Now, I guess if you amped up a brown ale and also you could probably get them from the malts, I guess, if you put extra malts in. But a stout seems to have more substance to it, to me.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
A stout's meant to be a heavy substantive. That's a big word. Substantive beer. I can't get that word out this morning. But yes, stout. That's just the nature of a stout. I mean,
Craig says he'd like to thank Mr. Nelly for tolerating my tomfoolery sometimes when I'm being exuberant. Craig, we love you, man. That's why we love having you in the chat, and you're a funny guy. So you just keep being you, man.
I just wish some of the people who come on the chat would come on the show, because it would be great to have some new faces on here.
Yeah, we'd love. Yeah, anybody's welcome. If you want to join and if you're not a member of the IBRG, the International Beer Reviewers Guild, or Beer Talk on Facebook, you can always just leave a comment in the live chat, and I can post the link in the chat. So if anybody ever wants to join, that's not a member of any of our groups, just let me know and I will be glad to let you in here.
We would have to have a vodka drinking contest if it was Blake. That's all he drinks is vodka and water.
Vodka and water. Well, then he drinks moonshine too, doesn't he?
I don't think so. All I've ever seen is vodka and water.
I've seen him drink stuff out. I guess it's just vodka in a mason jar. I don't know. It looks like
there was some whiskey he bought once. I think it was like $5.99 for a 175 or something. Yeah, it's what I refer to as gut rot. And he was drinking that once. I kind of remember that.
Jay likes to buy that stuff and compare it in his Dawnbuster sometimes too. Some of the more lower grade whiskeys.
Oh yeah, Jay's good about. Yeah, that's a whole different tangent. I'm not going to jump off on that now. Because the other morning he had me laughing hard.
He's doing an honest comparison, and sometimes both the products are not exactly.
He mentioned me the other morning. He goes, and Robert the Whiskey Scout would definitely not drink this. I don't remember which one it was on, but he's right. I may have had it in the past. I'm not going back to it. That was a one trip through.
And what
Royal Club.
And what do they kid you, Robert, about Crown Royal too? Is that the other one?
Yeah, that's no, they don't give me. I don't know. I never hear much crap about that because it's just a simple de facto thing. I'm not drinking it. You can't make me drink it, and I ain't going to drink it.
It's funny. I'm not a fan of Crown Royal either, but it's not necessarily because it's not. Some people can't like it.
Oh no, it's
Not
most
a
people
fan of-
like it. It's good. Most people really like it. It's just
It's not bad for a Canadian. I'm just not a huge fan of Canadian whiskey. It doesn't have enough flavor. Other than the Canadian Club Classic 12-year small batch, I'm not a big fan of Canadian whiskey.
so. I just don't like what it did to me one night 30 years ago.
And memories die hard.
That memory dies really hard.
Hey, that's like I will never drink Goldschlager again. When I was 18, I went to a party and I was drinking Goldschlager and I was throwing up gold chunks for the next 2 days. So I decided just never to drink Goldschlager again. Even though it wasn't
I'll tell you a
bad at
story
the
about
time,
Goldschlager.
it has a very terrible place in my memory banks from the day after effect.
When we go private, I'll tell you a story about Goldschlager. I don't want to do it.
I guess
Jeremy,
Jeremy's got to throw in the mango beer comment there.
Jeremy, it's okay. I'm over it. I'm over the mango thing. I'm over it.
He said something the other day. I reviewed the Bud Light Seltzer mango, and he left a comment. He said, "You got to tell our buddy Michael Kormaroff about the Bud Light mango. His two favorite things, Bud Light and mango."
It would just be something I would have to pass on, I think. But you never know.
Yeah,
you never say no to anything. I think.
Right.
Didn't Jay give a big thing on one of these where he had one of the camos and it was like he couldn't believe it. He tried to get it down and then he couldn't, and then he was sorry that he did. No, he did drink it, and then he was sorry later.
He drank one or two of them. One of them, though, he actually, in his review, he took it and he threw it up against the fence. He was in his backyard doing the review, and he said his exact words were, "Damn you, Camo, damn you, hell." And he took the can and he threw it up against his wooden fence behind where he was sitting into the video, and that's probably the funniest Jay Terrio losing a beer reviews video I've ever seen.
I gotta find that.
That's a Jay.
Type in, if you go to Jay's channel and search for Camo XXX Black Ice, I think that's the one where he did that.
I was on Blake and Rod J's the other night. I don't remember who it was on Friday Throwdown. I think it was Blake's channel. He was doing it, and Rod J was on there and everything. And I had a Ice House Edge, and the beer is bad when you take a few drinks out of it. I had it in a long time, and I took a few drinks out of it. And I'm thinking, is this thing out of date? And you're looking for the date, and you actually find it, and it's in date, and you're going, oh, it's just really bad. I mean, right. I did not like Ice House Edge. That was. I don't know if I'm having a conflicting memory from when I thought I've had that before, but I'm debating it now. It was awful. Myself, I didn't care for it.
After you've been drinking decent craft beer and you go back to some of this other, and I'm not gonna kill it because I can't. Everybody drink what you want. All I'm saying is, if you drink quality craft, sometimes it's hard to go back.
I agree with you, Michael.
I mean, unless you want to be a masochist and, if that's what you want, go for it. I mean, whatever. I'm 69 and my beer adventures are over. They be craft. I mean, that's the way it's going.
You're old enough. You've tried it all. You know what you like. There's no need to put yourself through any unnecessary torment just because, for the sake of trying something.
Somebody gives me a beer to try. I try it. I put it in my book. It usually gets a low score, and then it's over. I'm not going to refuse it. I'm not buying 6-packs of Bud Light to try them. I've been there, done that, and it doesn't get better.
No, Bud Light's
all. It is what it is, though.
Yeah, when we go, that's Jeremy and Matt's favorite beer when we go riding motorcycles. They always got a cooler, and they always got a 12-pack because that's the biggest cooler you can get. So I'm not going to say anything other than we must sometimes make several stops a day to refill that cooler. But that's just their bag, and I drink it because
you're being friendly.
It's part of the deal. I'll even buy a 12-pack because I got to put my part in as well. We all take turns buying, but in all God's honesty, it's not. I don't like it. I'll be really honest. I can drink it, but I don't like it.
My daughter drinks it sometimes. But
yeah.
She's forgiven.
So Jeremy put the link to the video on Ron's channel right there for later. We'll check that out. We'll go ahead and wrap this up, I guess. Real quick in the chat, Sut's in the chat now. He's talking about Weiser's, none better. That's his go-to whiskey. He's always drinking Weiser's. And Robert, you've had Weiser's, right?
Yeah, I've got a bottle over there. I've got a bottle of the triple rye from Weiser's.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I've had the regular Weiser's or not, to tell you the honest to goodness truth. Yeah, I've just got the rye triple barrel and the JP Weiser's.
Okay.
So I don't drink a lot of, as you know, I don't drink a lot of Canadians. My Canadian consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bottles of Canadian and all of this craziness. So I kind of tell you.
Is that Rooster from True Grit who prefers that? Is that who he's talking about? The last?
I'm not sure. Rooster Cochran.
Isn't that his name? Character?
Yeah, that's True Grit's Rooster Cochran.
Is it? Okay.
Huh. I did have. There's a St. Louis brewery, not Anheuser-Busch, but a craft one there. It's pretty good. I can't think of it.
All right. Well, we'll wrap this up, guys. Any final thoughts or comments before we take it off air?
It's been a lot of fun. I know that this Wild Card Wednesday that Jay is hosting, which is going to be pepper beers of any type, pepper beers.
And tomorrow night, I'll give Bumpy's channel a plug. He does Monday every Monday night. Tomorrow's beer is Brute IPA. So if anybody wants to join tomorrow night at 8 Eastern on Bumpy Road Brewery's channel, he's doing an examination of Brute IPAs.
I think I might be gone. No, I mean,
yeah. No, yeah, I'll try to join if I get home in time and can get a Brute IPA. Brute IPAs are kind of getting hard to come by. They're not a very popular style. They came out to compete with the New England IPAs, and the New England IPAs really kept going up, and the Brute IPAs just kind of went away for the most part. So anyway, thanks to everybody in the chat. We really appreciate it. We wouldn't be here without you. A lot of great comments today and interaction. So thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Michael Kormaroff and Robert the Whiskey Scout for joining me. Really appreciate it, guys. Had a good time today. Sometimes the smaller groups are a little bit more fun because we can just kind of interact more and not have to worry about, going through everything so quickly. So hope everybody has a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. I would say enjoy your football, but, well, I guess if you're into XFL, you can watch that. That's going on now. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Enjoy your work week, and we'll see you all on the next one. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.